Good morning, everybody, and welcome to HJ Goes Live with Abigail Butler. This session is supported by L'Oréal Professionnel, and we're going to be talking about styling curls and coils and wigs, weaves and braids with Abigail Butler. L'Oréal Professionnel have launched a new and free curls and coils course, which is available now on l'orealaccess.com and open to all. And we've got the link below in the comments. I'd love to introduce Abigail to you all. She's an award-winning stylist, L'Oréal artistic educator, international session stylist, and hair extension specialist at Strictly Extended. Welcome, Abigail.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, Charlotte.
So good to be with you. And we were just saying, can't believe it's summer again, and we're wearing our summer gowns.
I know. I know. It's just great that the weather's turned around again and it's given us a bit of hope for summer.
So please, could you tell me all about your L'Oréal Access Curls and Coils course, and your section within that, like who are they for, who are they designed for, and are they suitable for everyone from your salon team?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to collaborate with L'Oréal and to have this opportunity to share, different knowledge and skills and tips with basically anybody that's never had any experience with curls and coils or textured hair. It's for anyone that wants to learn like basic stuff. So starting off, if they want to know how to prep the hair, do different styles, washing, tools, updos and caring for the hair, basically. So anyone can join the course. It's free on the L'Oréal Access platform, which is amazing because it's an opportunity to get everybody involved and understand that, if you don't know where to get this course, it's on the Access. So yeah.
That's so amazing. And is it suitable for most members of the salon team, from your juniors to your more senior members of staff that might not have had this
Yeah.
course qualification when they were coming through the industry?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that mention, there was an extra module when they did the course or that they've never actually done this. So it's for anybody that wants to refresh on their knowledge. It's for anybody that wants just the foundations to start them off to having a bit of understanding and to get them going, basically. Yeah.
Well, and so what was your involvement in creating the Curls and Coils course alongside L'Oréal Professionnel?
So basically, I helped out putting together, just the fundamentals of what you would do to go through different stages of caring for the hair and making sure that, we cover all aspects of the hair. So with the curls and coils, it's identifying the curl patterns, understanding what you need when you approach that particular curl type or texture, and then basically how to care for it. So it's basically putting together a whole course that gives you all the things that you need to know about curls and coils.
Yeah, and it's very much a foundation knowledge, isn't it, rather than an exhaustive, you can 100% learn more. This is kind of your starting blocks and to spur you on to getting more engaged and involved and educated in curls and coils.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those courses where it breaks down everything so it doesn't miss out, things that you'd think, oh, I didn't learn that. It starts you off. It also takes you from one level to another level where you think, I'm quite interested in, for example, doing the weaves or the braids, and giving you an introductory to how to do it. And then if you want to learn it more, you can do that in your own time by practicing. So it is really quite informative.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost a springboard as well to other avenues that you can,
Yeah.
and getting involved more and feeling confident and kind of empowered by curls and coils rather than a bit nervous or not sure how to approach them.
Yeah, and with the course, it really does cover all the fundamentals, because I think a lot of people have showed that they want to deal with textured hair, but they just don't have the confidence. And I think with educating everybody to understanding what you need to do, how to identify the science behind curls and coils, and then the caring element of it is really what you need to kind of take you to that next stage. And this is what the course is really about, is saying we've got all the information here to get you started. All you now need to do is just find your models, find anyone that you can kind of put that practice, that knowledge, and practice that.
Cool. So, what would you say are the three things that everyone can take away from the Curls and Coils course?
They can take away three things would be the fact that they know the tools that they need to get them started. That's most important because they'll understand why we're using these tools and how it has an impact. And they can also have a bit more understanding of how the curls can be quite fragile if depending on the curl type. So they'll have a bit more understanding, and also about just understanding, you know, how the hair actually works compared to hair types that they've worked with before, having a different mindset and just approaching things quite differently to the way they might have looked at different textures in the first place. So yeah, they'll take quite a lot from it.
And why do you think that it is so important, really, for everyone to get on board? Um, and if possible, take the Curls and Coils course that L'Oréal Access are offering.
Yeah, I think because the industry's changing and it's a shame that it's taken this long, but we're here now and it's great to understand that as a hairdresser, for me, I strongly feel that you can't really call yourself a hairdresser unless you know how to deal with all types, because that's what we do. And we don't want to discriminate. We don't want to put people into a box where we say, we can't offer you that service, because we're really meant to be educated on learning how to style, dress, or hair type. So, this course is really to kind of say, right, even if you don't have the confidence, here it is. We've provided you with the foundations, the fundamentals, and this will also be a great experience to say that, we can move forward and address, different hair types and enjoy being able to offer services to everybody within our hairdressing community.
You kind of touched upon how the industry is changing, and
Yeah.
obviously thrilled that the NOS has been updated to reflect um, different hair textures and different ethnicities within the UK, which is great news. But now is the time, isn't it, for everyone to, that change has kind of come from the top, but now it needs to be coming from the bottom in salons across the land, not just from a kind of social perspective, but it's for your business. Like, the more people you can bring to the salon, the
Yeah,
better business you've got.
and it's great to understand that because everybody has different hair types, we want to be inclusive, and we are a multicultural society, and to be able to, feel that our clients can come to us knowing we have the knowledge about all hair types is so important. Also feel that, change needed to have happened, and just to, have a course like this that's saying we're free, even if you've not had this sort of education when you went to college, we have this here for you now, and I hope that this does start to filter down to the mainstream when, students go and do their MVQs, and then it's become compulsory so that we can gradually change our views on how we approach different hair types and caring for them.
So, what are the next things that you'd like to see happen within education for the industry?
Wow, good question. I would like to see that, we've got more courses in styling and caring for mixed textured hair in terms of cutting, coloring, styling. I would like to see that everybody, the context in which everybody is feeling afraid, everyone's educated, and I want to see that we've moved forward now and there's a lot more to offer everybody.
Cool. And in terms of, I guess, so say I'm coming from the perspective of maybe someone that's been educated about like 20 years ago, and it, you know, it wasn't part of my course, it was an elective module and I decided not to take it for whatever reason. What's so great about this course is that it seems to, you know, no one has to be embarrassed about lack of knowledge in a particular area, because everyone starts on the same level almost, because it's a foundation. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think times have changed, like things have been evolving where, we would be doing highlights, now it's evolved to balayage and different techniques. And I think with the mixed textured hair, we're still learning. Before, a lot of people didn't want to wear their hair natural. So the education and the information around it was completely different. So to know that, you can still come back and learn something new is so important.
So what are your favourite tips for styling curly and coily hair? Have you got any things that you kind of give away to the audience listening?
So my one of my top tips is basically always remember to potentially retain moisture within the client's hair. That's your number one thing. So when you start getting comfortable with doing more curls and coils, always keep that in mind, is retaining moisture is important to hair growth and healthy hair. And just understanding your products. I've been doing a few courses lately, and the most important thing that's been coming out of these courses is I didn't realize how much products, coils and curls need. I didn't know that they operate differently. One type of product is not this, it's not going to work on the same with another client, because their curls might be different, their porosity might be different in terms of how they absorb moisture. So understand your products and how to use them.
It's really key. Do you find a lot of people have, is there options for like asking questions in
Yeah.
the courses and things? Do you get a lot of frequently asked questions that you're like, oh, I didn't realize people didn't know that, or anything that you were surprised about?
Um, Yeah, I get questions, for example, when it comes to how much products to apply. I didn't realize we need to apply more products on the hair. I always say test the product first on the client's hair in a section. When you know that works really well, then go in. Whereas normally when you're working with type A, type C textures, you don't want to overload the hair with products. So it's completely
Mindset
working.
like shift, yeah.
Yeah. I also find that when it comes to moisturizing the hair with like a hair mask, you find that clients are not used to putting it on not clients, stylists are not used to putting it on the scalp. It's more mid-length to ends.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I didn't realize that. So it's just learning different things. And yeah, in terms of drying and how quick the hair absorbs water is a different thing that I find a lot of stylists don't realize. That hair can, you can be working on one section and you move to the next, and then before you know it, the whole hair's dried, so the hair can really absorb. And it's nice to see how hair works with different products and styling.
Cool. So tell us a little bit more about what people can expect to learn from wigs, weaves, braids module.
Okay, so with the wigs, weaves, and braids, it's really introductory to what you can do as a protective style or being quite creative, really. So you would learn like the braid pattern. I think I've shown one type of braid pattern, which is a cornrows or a Dutch braid, and how to basically set the hair in a way where you can put a wig on. And it's really easy to learn, but you do need to know how to braid. So I would advise anyone, especially if you want to work with mixed textured hair, to, practice braiding, because it helps you to be able to move on to like different technical styles.
And would you say that's practicing on a dolly head, or
Yeah.
getting a very willing friend that's patient?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think you need to practice on a dolly, and then when you get confident, you can then practice on someone else. But yeah, so what I've done is I've showed how to do a braid pattern, how to base, and you can use it as a protective style. So it's kind of like two in one. And then once you've learned that, I've also shown you how to do a braid weave. So if a client has quite loose curls, or they wanted to just add a few tracks in. I've shown how to stitch weaves in by just putting a few braids and stitching on top, and then incorporating probably their same curl pattern if they wanted to extend their hair. And then we did a braidless weave, which is for someone that probably doesn't know how to do a weave, and how to do that with micro rings. So it's a few little tips and tricks there. It's only an introductory, but it's a great way to kind of see how versatile you can be with hair extensions.
Yeah, I bet it kind of whets a lot of people's appetite for learning more because, yeah, I can.
Yeah, and hair extensions is such a big thing now, and I think with mixed textured hair, a lot of clients do feel that they might want to wear their hair in a protective style. So it just shows you what you can offer your clients if you kind of start with the foundations and then have more to offer.
And so finally, I want to find out what your favorite products are.
Ah. Well, I do tend to use L'Oréal Professional products quite a lot. They do have quite a big selection, but it really does depend on, your type of client's curl type. But my favorite ones I do find, which is in my staples, is Spiral Queen. That has become quite a big like favorite of mine because the curls are just, it really holds the curls and gives definition. It's like a mousse, but you find that it really, it's not dry and it's not
What
got.
my first thought was, I was like, mousse. I was like, surely drying, but no.
No, but if you do it in a lock-in method, you find that you would add the moisture and it just really retains the curl pattern. So that's my favorite. Then we've got Mythic Oil, which is one, and Liss Control Plus is something I always tend to use. So those are my favorites.
And what stage of like a client appointment would you use each of those products in? Um,
I tend to use them when it comes to washing and blow drying. So after I've washed the client's hair, I would then apply different products like the ones I've spoken about. But with those particular products, you don't know which ones are going to really work until you try them out. So it's great to kind of like practice on someone that and see how they work. And then you can then, incorporate it into your regime when you're styling clients' hair.
and like you said earlier, start on a section of hair first because, as you were saying, obviously every person's hair is unique and might react differently. Does hair ever react differently at different client appointments, depending on whether they've been on holiday or whatever?
Yeah, you find that some people's gone for a colouring service, so their hair gets really dry. You also need to keep in mind that a lot of people have different curl types, patterns in their hairs.
Within the same head of hair, yeah.
Yeah, so what might work at the bottom or at the back, or the top of their hair might operate different in the middle. So the products might need to be applied differently, or you might need to change because the hair could be reacting differently, even through hormones.
Mhm.
Your hair can get really oily, so you might not want to saturate the hair with a particular product that you've used before on your client.
So I guess the bottom line is communication is key and speaking to your client about their hair because they probably know their hair best as well. Like they know what.
Well, you would think that, and sometimes you would think that, because I do get that question, as a stylist, do clients come in knowing their hair better than them? And that's what a lot of people think, because they've just started out in the textured worlds, and do the
Right.
do the clients know more than them? And I think sometimes they would assume that they do, but sometimes they would think this is what works best for them. But don't be put off by that because you might actually know a better way for their hair. So don't be phased if they say, this is what I do with my hair. You get one of those clients and they're like, this is how I look after it. And, you always think the client knows more, but the client might know one element of their hair, but you're there to learn as much. And with experience, you might figure out that there's a different way to applying products or how their hair retains moisture.
Cool. Thank you for challenging me on that, because that is such an important way. Like, the client does not know best.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, but it's, as a stylist, if we educate ourselves enough, we don't want to feel like we're incompetent to be able to do their hair because they know more, but just learn what you can, and with your knowledge of doing different people, you will definitely pick up a lot more than them.
Amazing. And as a definite starting point, it does kind of bring it back to the fact that this course is free.
Yeah.
Like, start that journey today on l'orealaccess.com, and you will be empowered enough, as you are, Abigail, to tell clients, no, you don't know your hair best. I do.
Yeah, I do. And a lot of clients are coming in and they don't really know about the hair. They're coming in for help. Like a lot of people that come in, and even if they don't know how to cut their hair, style their hair, and they're coming into you to kind of say, help me, what can I do with this? How can I, moisturize and care for my hair better? So you're going to find a lot of people are coming in because they don't actually know what to do. So don't be afraid. Jump on the L'Oreal Access course. And even if you know about curls and coily hair already, there might be something that you might pick up that you didn't know. So it's always worth just refreshing your skills and jumping on and sharing the knowledge with your staff members, your colleagues, so yeah.
It's a great thing to do as a salon team, right? And as you're going through it, I'm sure lots of people from the team will be like, oh, did you know this as well? And it will start a conversation, which is, super
Yeah.
helpful and progressive.
Yeah, because with my team, I always used to, before this became available to everyone, I would always, anytime I recruited a stylist, put them through an Afro textured course. So I would teach them the fundamentals because they've never worked with that hair. That was compulsory within my salon. And they loved it because they were like, oh, I've never worked with this hair type before. So now that we have this course on Access, it's great to just say, log in. Even if you're not in a particular area that deals with curls and coils, still educate yourself and share any tips, any understanding that you've got, and we're all in it together. So it's great to make it compulsory if you can within the salon.
Yeah. Well, that's a brilliant note to end the session on. Thank you so much for your time today.
Welcome.
I really appreciate it. So much wisdom was held in those like 22 minutes.
I know.
And if you guys watching do need access or wondering where to see the free and new Curls and Coils course, you can check out the first comment where we've got the link. And I just want to congratulate us both on saying coils and curls course successfully throughout the whole live. Thank you so much for your time. Lovely to see you.
Yes,
Bye.
Bye. Bye.